are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
Marching on South African businesses that they say do not prioritise the employment of nationals.
If the government did something, number one, we wouldn't be having illegal immigrants being employed in these companies. For the fact that they are there being employed, that is the proof that government is doing nothing, because you've got your labor department that's supposed to ensure that. So for this to take place, where was the labor department, which is part of government? So it demonstrates that it doesn't do anything.
Businesses came to a standstill in the area and most opting to shut for the day. The campaigners, however, dismissed the notion of xenophobia.
These names, we are not surprised. In this day and time, we are called xenophobic for fighting for our country. It's fine.
A similar march took place in Soweto recently, creating fear amongst residents and foreign nationals.
Black people is from Africa. Why these guys is not talk for the white man? It's killing Africa. It's for only brother for him from Africa.
They are scaring us, you see, and in actually, we don't know what is going on here right now. No, we have come here, we got papers, we are qualified, we got everything that have got to do with getting jobs in South Africa.
The group has vowed to intensify their action.
For MSF and other agencies working in emergency situations, we have rarely seen levels of mortality like we are seeing here in South Sudan. And so we have everywhere pockets of concentrations of displaced people mixing up with settled people, displaced people who became displaced because they got desperate and they were looking for food everywhere, and finally they ended up in centers like this here in Mapel or in Ajib or Achumchum, dying in front of the feeding centers. And it's still a bad situation. It continues to be out of control, but we have the impression that it's getting a little better now.
I am an African. I owe my being to the hills and the valleys, The mountains and the glades, the rivers, the deserts, the trees, the flowers, the seas, and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land. My body has frozen in our frosts and in our latter-day snows. It has thawed in the warmth of our sunshine and melted in the heat of the midday sun. The crack and the rumble of the summer thunders, lashed by startling lightning, have been a cause both of trembling and of hope. The fragrances of nature have been as pleasant to us as the sight of the wild blooms of the citizens of the veldt. The dramatic shapes of the Dragon's Back, the soil-colored waters of the Liqua, Iqeli, Notugel, and the sands of the Kalahari have all been panels of the set on the natural stage on which we act out the foolish deeds of the theater of the day. At times, and in fear, I have wondered whether I should concede equal citizenship of our country to the leopard and the lion, the elephant and the springbok, the hyena, the black mamba, and the pestilential mosquito. A human presence among all of these, a feature on the face of our native land just defined, I know that none dare challenge me when I say I am an African. I am the grandchild of the warrior men and women that incense Kukuni land. Patriots at Tetwayo and Mpepu took to battle. The soldiers Mushweshwe and Gumunyane taught never to dishonor the cause of freedom. I am the child of Nongause. I am he who made it possible to trade in the world markets in diamonds, in gold, in the same food for which our stomachs yearn. Being part of all of these people, and in the knowledge that none dares contest that assertion, I shall claim that I'm an African. Today, it feels good to be an African.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ali for tonight. I'll be your co-host for tonight. I see that we have Sipo who's trying to join, and most of our friends who are trying to join, but I'm not sure if they're winning in the method that they're trying to join. Please try to make sure that your mics are connected so that we can be able to take you through. Let's just take a short break so that they are connected.
You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world, like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time to come and join the podcast tonight. My name is Ali. I'll be your co-host for tonight. Tonight, Motion will be discussing the resolutions to the African problem in detail. I have my guests that I've invited for tonight, the likes of Wachiri Mutati, coming live from Nairobi, Kenya, the likes of Honorable Silohola, live from South Africa, Opok Opondo, which will be coming from Nairobi, Kenya. Advocate Abram will be coming live from South Africa. We'll be also having Mo Africa, Sichema, who's coming from South Africa also. We'll be also be having Professor Joshua Washuri, who will also be coming from live from Kenya. And I can also see that we'll be also having Miss Elaine Goya. I do hope I have managed to, read your names accordingly. I'll firstly start with you, Mr. Africa. In less than a minute, please introduce yourself to the house, and I'll just call speakers as follows.
Good evening, the viewers and Mr. Ali, the host. My name is Mo Afrikas Chama, aka Tebo. I'm from Limpopo, South Africa. I'm very pleased to be in this show tonight and share the ideas with you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Malida. I will be moving to Wachira Mutati. Can you please introduce yourself to the house?
Thank you. My name is Washira Motazi from Kenya. Yeah, I am a student of philosophy, especially African philosophy, and the topic of African or Africanacity rather is so dear to me. So it will be an honor today to speak about the problems that face Africa. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Malida. I will be moving to Frank Mabua. Frank, can you please introduce yourself to the house?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Mabuya. I'm from South Africa, Limpopo, Malekane. Thank you, Mr. Ali, the host, and the partakers in this meeting.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be moving to Lane Agoya. Can you please introduce yourself to the house?
Yeah, I'm Lina Goya and I'm from Kenya, and I'm glad to discuss this topic of resolutions to African problems such as poverty. Thank you, Mr. Ali.
Okay. Agoya, can you please come again? You're on mute. We were not able to get your line.
I'm Lina Goya from Kenya, and I'm so happy to discuss the topic of resolutions to African problems. Yeah.
All right, and thank you so much. Let's move to Advocate Abram. Advocate, can you please introduce yourself to the house? Advocate?
Thank you very much, person. My name is Abraham Makhali. I'm from South Africa, currently residing in Gauteng, Pretoria. Thank you very much, person.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Mu Africa, Wachiri, Advocate, Frank, and Agoya. We're still waiting for other colleagues to come and join us. The motion that we'll be discussing tonight, or that we'll be digesting in the House, will be looking at the solutions or the resolutions to the African problems. We know for sure that Africa is the world's second largest, and I could also say that is the second most popular continent, and it has the youngest among all the continent. And I can tell you, Africa is diversified. We know that we have a lot of languages, different cultures in Africa, and there are a lot of challenges that we're experiencing. Before we can go into detail, I'll start with Africa. What is your view on the videos that we have been playing before we started the podcast? What's your view on the video that they were playing? Africa?
Pardon me, Ali, I couldn't hear you when you were finishing your statement. What were you saying?
I was saying that what is your point of view on the videos that we have been playing them, that they were displaying different problems that are happening in Africa?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ali, and the viewers there. My view towards those shared videos is that we as Africans, we are having a serious problem to ourselves. We can't be blaming each other for the problems that are within us. Instead, we should be finding a way out to those problems and implementing the solutions as Africans towards our problems. As such, I've noticed or noted the poverty a video that was shared, which is portraying our poverty situation in Africa, which is a reality or a matter of fact. As we find ourselves in situations where we can't just get out easily because of this poverty. In such a way, it tells you that the poverty can lead you into the situations where you can't get out easily. So that is my point of view towards this portrayed videos.
All right. Thank you so much, Africa. In short, I just wanted to get your reaction based on the videos that you are playing. I'll go to Wachiri Mutati. What is your reaction before we go in detail the motions that we are going to digest? What is your reaction to some of the videos that we are playing? The likes where you're seeing some of the children, they were dying due to hunger. What is your view?
First of all, it really saddens my heart to see that we, as the sons and daughters of the soil, which bears the life that brings forth great plants, that brings forth a great life in Africa, that we are dying out of hunger. It is so sad that we cannot be able to feed ourselves, yet we have all the resources that are available to us, that has been given to us by nature. So it really saddens my heart, and I hope that going to the future, or going rather into the future, we are going to do something about it, and Africa is supposed to be better than what we are seeing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Washuli, coming right from Kenya. We acknowledge you, Professor. I'll also move to Agoya. Agoya, what is your reaction based on the videos that you're playing?
About my reaction, just like what Chira said, it's really so sad to see young kids dying. It's a high time as Africa we stand up and set up goals that will help us go far as a continent. As a country also, goals should be set as a country first before we set goals as a continent, because if you have not achieved some goals as a country, it's hard to achieve those goals as a continent. So it's high time as Africa we sit down and come up with strategies that will help us overcome things like poverty. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Akoya. We also have Professor Washiri on the house. Professor, let's check if you're still with us, Professor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Mr. Ali, I can get you. I've just logged in. I don't know what was the question you had posed.
All right. Not a problem, Professor. We welcome you on the house. Make sure, speakers, make sure that if you're not the one who's speaking, make sure that you mute your mic. Now, I want us to start with this one. I'm going to give an example based on the country that myself and our fellow brothers that we are based in. We are based in South Africa. I just want to play this clip. After this clip, we're going to go through to what actually I will be trying to explain. Where we'll be talking about illegal immigrants. You know, some of our African brothers and African sisters who will be moving from their original country and moving to the other country without proper documentation. I want to play this clip so that we can digest it in detail. The video it plays for about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Allow me to play this video so that we can digest it in detail.
Marching on South African businesses that they say do not prioritize the employment of nationals.
If the government did something, number one, we wouldn't be having illegal immigrants being employed in these companies. For the fact that they are there being employed, that is the proof that government is doing nothing. Because you've got your labor department that's supposed to ensure that. So for this to take place, where was the labor department, which is part of government? So it demonstrates that it doesn't do anything.
Businesses came to a standstill in the area and most opting to shut for the day. The campaign has, however, dismissed the notion of xenophobia.
These names, we are not surprised. In this day and time, we are called xenophobic for fighting for our country. It's fine.
A similar march took place in Soweto recently, creating fear amongst residents and foreign nationals.
black people is from Africa. Why these guys is not talk for the white man? It's killing Africa. It's follow only brother for him from Africa.
They are scaring us, you see, and in actually, we don't know what is going on here right now. No, we have come here, we got papers, we are qualified, we got everything that have got to do with getting jobs in South Africa.
The group has vowed to intensify their action, accusing government of doing little to help the situation. They said their aim is to enforce the law where government systems have failed. Griselda Lewis, SABC News in Johannesburg.
Thank you so much for going through that video. Now, what I want us to go through here, I want us to go through to the illegal immigrants, looking on our African brothers and our African sisters. In South Africa, as I will give you an example, in South Africa, we have our African brothers and our African sisters coming from Kenya, coming from Zimbabwe, coming from different countries in Africa. Most of them, they're here in South Africa because of maybe where they're coming from, it's quite difficult for them to get a job, or they're finding it difficult to survive. They came to South Africa because they're fighting for survival, or I could say they moved from their original country to, it could be any country which is in Africa, because if they're fighting for survival. But now it is reported that these illegal immigrants are causing problems. They're the ones who are contributing towards high crime. They're the ones who are contributing towards taking jobs for local people. People are fighting in African countries saying that people should go to their mother countries where they're coming from. I want to bring this matter into the table. I'll start with Wachiri Mutati. What is your view when you see African killing each other, saying that you don't belong to Kenya, you don't belong to Zimbabwe, you don't belong to South Africa? This is my home country. You must go back where you're coming from. What is your view when you hear people killing each other, saying that you came to my home country, you took my job, now I'm unemployed? You are from Kenya, you came to South Africa, you took my job as a scientist. You're from Zimbabwe, you came to South Africa, you took my job as a doctor. What is your view, Wachiri? People are dying in African countries because Africans are fighting themselves. Africans are fighting each other. I will start with you, Wachiri. What is your view?
Thank you, Ali. First of all, my view on illegal immigration in Africa, especially, is a very topic that brings up or spurs a lot of discussions. But for me, I want to look at it in this manner. I think illegal immigration is rampant or is becoming a menace in Africa because we tend to let it. We as Africans, we have divided ourselves into 54 countries or more. And we have decided that you are South African, you are Kenyan, you are Ugandan, and you've forgotten that all of us are Africans. You see, when we go out to the other continents in the world, they do not care about your Tanzanianness. They do not care about your Kenyanness. They only look at you as an African. And it is so sad that we as Africans ourselves, we have decided to separate ourselves in such kind of manners. And perhaps I can give I can talk about, or I can mention to you what Professor Pierre Lumumba from Kenya said, and he was giving a resolution, and I think it might be really important in the topic of illegal immigration. And he said that we can create a single Africa with a loose government, or rather a confederate government dealing with only with defense, foreign affairs, monetary policy, general policy and formation. This being a solution to try to bring down or to take away tribal and narrow instincts in Africa, because that is what is bringing up illegal immigration. If we as Africans, we had come up in one way and look at ourselves as one people, we will not be having immigration in the first place. So therefore, even illegal immigration will have been brought out of the table. So I think illegal immigration, as hard as the topic might be to be discussed, I think we as the Africans, we're allowing ourselves to be separated in this manner so that we can be having immigration issues. And therefore now illegal immigration is coming up about, because if we had looked ourselves as Africans, from all the way from Tanzania to South Africa to Algeria to Congo, and we look ourselves as a people, as one people, so that you can be able to traverse freely all the way from the northern part of Africa to the southernmost part of Africa, it will be better, rather than this issue that we have decided to separate ourselves, to make our borders so hard to penetrate for our fellow African brothers and sisters. I think that is one way we can look at illegal immigration from my own point of view. Thank you.
Okay, I still have a lot of questions for you, but I just want to move quickly to Moafrika Sichama. What is your reaction? I like the code that is coming from Wachiri, saying that Prof. Lumumba suggested some of the, I could say, some of the resolutions which we can take them into account. I want to go through to Moafrika. Moafrika, what is your reaction?
Thank you again, Mr. Ali and Wachira. The issue of Africa seeing each other as illegal immigrants, or we can say, and we have to instill first before we can have a concrete resolution towards this problem of having illegal immigrants, is that we have to bear in mind that we are
I see that Africa is having some technical issues. He will just join us now. I just want to move to Agoya. Yes. What's your view? Agoya? Okay, not sure. Agoya, what's your reaction?
I'm here. First and foremost, I'll say that it's such a bad thing to see an African killing a fellow African just because he or she is an illegal immigrant in that country. We should come up with better strategies to deal with these immigrants rather than killing your fellow African. We first have to recognize that this is an African. He is in your country or she is in your country because of a job, or maybe she's there as a refugee. Try and embrace this brother. Let us solve issues maturely instead of killing each other. We as African, we need to grow as a continent, not by killing each other, because when we kill each other, what are we trying to show the other continents? That we are not united. And the moment that we show them that we are not united, we give them a table to come and rule us. They'll do whatever they want with us, since we've created this picture that we are not united. But the moment we are united, it's so hard for these people from other continents to come and control us as a continent. So on my side, I'll say that it's sad when we kill each other as Africans. Instead, we should unite together and fight things like poverty. Because when someone comes to your country to work, you don't know what that person, maybe she has an idea that could build up your country or could build up as Africa as a continent. So instead of killing each other, we should sit down and discuss these issues and solve it maturely. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna move to Professor Wachiri. Professor, what's your reaction, Professor? Professor Wachiri? Okay, I'm not sure if Prof is still with us. Professor Wachiri, can you please try to unmute your mic? It's on mute. We are not able to hear you, Professor. Professor Wachiri?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, please go through.
Okay, thank you. Though there is some music playing in the background. Okay, all right. So on the issue of illegal migration, as it has been mentioned, and as I've seen a number of strikes going on in African countries like South Africa, concerning such that there are people who are strangers, they come in their own country, and again they are taking jobs from us. So I think first my colleagues have mentioned it very well that indeed we need to handle this issue in a peaceful way, not by threats and a very rough manner, killing one another like that, because that does not portray a good. That is not humanity. There is no one who would wish just that way to take the life of another because he has taken a job or he's an immigrant. That one is not something that we can support. But you see, looking at it from this point, why these people are feeling so much angered about these immigrants is that they come in our own countries and are being offered the jobs that us we have been denied. And that is one thing that is indeed painful, because you get that a visitor is coming in your home and in fact he's not supposed to be there and taking a job away from you. So one thing I ask myself, if these people are illegal, to mean that they are in the country not by means which are legit. So how come first they are offered those jobs? Are they being offered the jobs by the government or it is private sector? Because how come these people are being offered jobs here, yet they're illegals, are not supposed to be in the country? See, that is an issue that we have first to look. How does it go about? And then once we have received these people and we term them as illegal, we have to also go to the root of the matter, that why are they in our country illegally? We may not know what was the cause, why they fled from their own countries and they came in our own countries. But still, we cannot allow that because of having pity, they come again to worsen our lives. When these people come, they have to submit to our own, not them coming to worsen the situation in Africa. As you can see, that the situation in Africa is already the economy, poverty, things are not working out. So we cannot be allowing people to come up and taking away jobs from us. And you see, that is increasing, in fact, poverty among Africans. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Washibi. I will be moving to Honorable Frank. Honorable Frank, please make sure that your comment is not more than 2 minutes. Honorable Frank.
Thank you, Ali, the host, for having me in this show tonight. Okay, in my point of view, in this movement of tonight, what I can say is that when we are talking about Africa and then all this immigration, illegal immigration happening currently, like in most cases, like we are focusing on South Africa on its own, as it's the most continent in Africa which is being burdened by immigration and which are illegal. So someone did mention on the comments that these people, the Europeans guys, they're trying to divide us, of which it's fine. Yes, they're trying to divide us. But then when it comes to the illegal people that they're coming to all these African countries, it's because of that. Most of them, they get those labors where they get paid small money and then being paid those little money, of which for some of them it's enough. Then to a point where, like, whenever you're an engineer from one of the African countries, then you have to compare, or okay, sharp, they're paying me this much, which is not enough. But then now, if you're looking to this situation of all these other countries which they're not from Africa, then they're moving into the African countries. I'm going to talk about Cuba. I'm going to talk about Russia, which they're moving to Africa, and China. These three countries, when they come to the African countries, they come in as like, they feel like they're entitled to most of the African countries because of like they won or they helped them to fight during their time of apartheid. So now they want some sort of payback. That's where you feel like they come here to demand what is due for them. That's why now we have Cubans in South Africa. We have those Chinese people in South Africa. We have those Russians in South Africa. We're working with those people all over. When you go to ESCOM, when you go to the government sectors, those people, they're working in South Africa. And then most South Africans, they have the same qualifications as them, but then they're sitting at home, they're not working. You go to the saloons, they're owned by our brothers from, which we cannot mention, but because they're going to say we're being xenophobic. But then the truth is, most of these people, they came here illegal. So how do we sort out that problem of like, can we try to prioritize our own people first before we can go to...
Honorable Frank, there's a POI that is coming from Advocate Abram. Advocate Abram, what are you raising a POI on? Advocate Abram, what are you raising a POI on? Advocate Abram, what are you raising a POI on? Okay, I don't know what's wrong with Advocate. Please wrap up your point, Frank.
Okay, when I'm wrapping up my point is that, like, I'm going to talk about South Africa because I don't know about the other countries. I've been to DRC, and then DRC, when I was there in DRC last year, DRC is standing on its own. It doesn't have any problems. That's why
apologies to disturb you again.
Okay.
Honorable Abram, what are you raising a POI on? Honorable Abram? Okay. I don't know what's wrong with Abram. He's raising a POI, but I can't get hold of him.
Okay.
Please wrap up upon Frank.
Fine.
We'll come back to Abram.
As I was saying, most of these African countries, they don't have the problem that South Africa is having. It's only South Africa which is having most of this burden when it comes to the illegal immigration. I don't know if maybe it's because of our leadership, or I don't know, because if the South Africans or the citizens of that country, they're trying to stand up on their own, we are called like we are being xenophobic. But in other countries, the nonsense that is happening in South Africa is not happening. So I just want to ask everyone who's in the panel tonight, like, let's be realistic with each other. I know we are all hungry. We are all fighting against poverty. But then let's be realistic to each other. How are we supposed to fight this illegal immigration? Regardless of our leaders, they're not standing on it on this, because maybe some of them...
Your time is up, my speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, and thank you so much. Very quickly, I see that we are left with Abram and also Hole and also Mo Africa to wrap up his point. Very quickly, I want to bring Advocate Abram. Advocate Abram.
Thank you very much, person. Let me first reflect on because Ali, you didn't include me on the videos that played during the commercials there. Can I please reflect on them first?
Yes, please. Yes, please,
okay.
Advocate.
Now, watching those videos, Ali, I feel that I'm being privileged born in South Africa, because the video that was played of Southern Sudan and the video of Thabo Mbeki, if you compare those videos, South Africa is way best than Southern Sudan when it comes to poverty, inequality, wealth, in so many things. We are way better than Southern Sudan. We should be counting our blessings, because what is happening there, I felt to teardrop myself. But Ali, reflecting on what Washiri said, quoting Professor Luamba of Kenya, he says we need Africa to unite, because colonizers have brought borders to divide us as African. Africa is one. We need a unity, without question. If we need to conquer poverty, it doesn't start with South Africa. We need Africa as a whole. the previous speaker is speaking of the nonsense that is happening in South Africa. I feel he's not conscious enough or does not understand the concept of Africanism. And he does not know the world or the continent or what is happening in Africa. There are countries that are starving, that are needing help from us. When we speak the issue of illegal immigrants and how to resolve it, violence is not the solution. Fighting them is not the solution. Why should we fight our brothers? If
Advocate,
we need to resolve,
there's a POI. Advocate, there's a POI coming from Frank. Frank, what are you raising a POI on?
Ali, thank you for taking my POI. Let me just answer the speaker. I know the poverty that you're taking to. I've been to DRC, I've been to Sweden, I've been to Botswana, I've been to Congo. So my take to you, I know poverty. I know what is poverty. I know what is poverty. So I'm going to ask you, like, for Africa to unite, why does it have to South Africa having to carry all these other African continents? Why don't we go to all these other continents or these other continents in Africa besides South Africa? That's my POI for you, sir. I'm not fighting you. Okay. I'm not causing a debate for you, sir.
Okay. All right. I just want please to take it through.
Clarity for you.
Thank you so much. Advocate, take it through because we have another one coming through.
Okay, let me respond him, Ali. Why am I saying South Africa? I'm residing in South Africa. I'm a South African citizen. I'm not gonna blame Uguti why Kenya, why is it not starting with Kenya? I'm not going to say why is it not starting with Congo. I'm not going to say why all immigrants are coming to South Africa. I'm not going to do that. I am a South African. I'm saying it's gonna start with me. I'm the one who's saying that we need Africa to unite. Why shouldn't it start with Africa? Why should I put a blame on Zimbabwe? It has to start with me. I'm the one who feels that we need Africa to unite. Problematic part is that you guys are busy complaining about immigrants here. Okay, even illegal immigrants here. How do we resolve that? The resolutions to that, the way that he's saying that he's been to these other countries, he knows poverty, he knows what's happening out there. Why is he not taking initiative of assisting the illegal immigrants to be legal migrants in South Africa?
Advocate, I want you to take very quickly. I want you to take the two POIs very quickly. I want Frank to come back again, and also Africa will come back in less than 2 minutes. Please, we want to wrap it up and go to Sillohole after that.
Okay, sir. For me to take initiative, let me just start you with how prostitute and all these illegal drugs that are happening in South Africa. It's not like we don't know about, and the officials they don't know about. They know about. So you as a citizen or as an individual, you cannot take initiative to try to get rid of those things. Because I can tell you something that the higher ranking members, they're the ones who are the master kings, or they're the drug lords in those things that you may say about. So how are you suggesting that me as an individual, because I've been there, I know all these things that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the hearsay. And then you as a person in South Africa again, we have those villages where there is poverty. Before we can consider these other African countries, we have villages in South Africa that they are in poverty, but they're not being considerate of. So how are you as an individual? Are you going to take care of all those other villages? Or are you going to cover those villages so that they can be well equipped? How are you going to do it as an individual? Because our leaders that they have power,
all right. Before advocate. Okay, all right. No, your time is up, Frank. Very quickly, I'm gonna allow More Africa to ask you a question, and I'm gonna ask advocate to take a answer. More Africa, what are you raising a POI on?
Thank you, Ali. My POI, I'm raising a POI on the issue of Africanism. I hear the speakers that have been having the platform speaking about Africanism. We understand that Africanism has to be prioritized and in the issue of black consciousness, that we are all Africans and we have to unite as Africans. That is why we had the former president of Libya saying that we must have a united Africa, if you recall quickly. So, but we as South Africans, we are experiencing a high rate of illegal immigrants in our country. As such, we are having the record of 11,000 illegal immigrants in jail as we speak now. That is the latest statistics that is showing that the problem with our African brothers, we don't have a problem if they move from a country to another. How are they moving from a country to another country? Is it illegal to do so, or is it legal to do so? If it's illegal, then why are they in jail now? But because it is illegal to do so, or they are doing it illegally, that is why you find them committing a lot of crimes, small crimes, big crimes, life-threatening crimes. They are all involved there. What is the cause of that? It's because we are instilled with a self-hate to see black as evil. Thank you.
All right, very quickly, Advocate, in less than a minute, can you please try to answer them?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. The issue of crimes, syndicates, drugs being coming to South Africa, and then how are you going to make a difference as an individual? Making a difference, it doesn't need a community. It starts with a self-person stating and committing, making a pledge that I do not care what people will say. I do not care what people are going to think. If you believe, Chief, and commit to yourself that I personally need to make a difference when it comes to this, you take a stand alone. Those who have interest on what you're saying, if you inspire hope, Chief, if you inspire a vision, I'm telling you, people will come and follow you. You're never going to invite them. They'll come and follow you. That is how you make a difference. You don't have to be 1,000 people. You don't have to have million people to make an impact. You need to be yourself. You need to start with yourself first. Make a commitment. Be conscious enough to take an oath. I myself am going to commit to make a difference when it comes to this. Now, when we speak about crime and all the syndicates that are brought to South Africa, South Africa lacks leadership. I'm not going to blame individuals, but I'm telling you, South Africa lacks leadership.
Please wrap up your point, my speaker.
Okay, my point is this, Ali. In South Africa, we have crime not being committed only by illegal immigrants or foreigners. South Africans are also playing part. The prisons are full, not by foreigners, but our own brothers, South Africans. So, okay. Why do they have to start with foreigners? Why don't they start with their own brothers? I'll make an example. In the past 2 months, how many heists in cash in transit did we have? Around Gauteng, we had 5 of them in the past 2 months, being omitted by South Africans.
Yeah.
So it's not of foreigners.
You're out of time, Advocate. You're out of time. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Out of time, Advocate. All right, thank you so much. Very quickly, I'm gonna try to take Selokgole. Selokgole, we were busy discussing illegal immigrants. What's your reaction on that?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, sir, please proceed.
Okay. Okay. Greetings to everyone who's here and everyone who's watching this and listening to this. I had speakers making points, and I acknowledged all of them. And then I can say there are real thick points, they are rich. But then what we need to look at, am I still loud enough?
Yes, sir. Please proceed. We can
Hello?
hear you. Yes, sir. Go through.
Hello?
Please go through, sir. We can hear you.
Mr. Ali?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Please go through.
Mr. Ali?
Okay. I think Mr. Hollis might be having some technical issues. Let's go back once more time. Can you hear us, Silo? All right. It's fine. I think Silo is having issues. Now, very quickly, I want to move back to Professor Washiri. So before we move to the next motion, Professor Washiri, can you please try to unmute yourself? I had all the speakers. They proposed, a lot of things in the house. Some are saying
Mr.
that.
Ali, can you hear me?
Okay, let's have a look. Silo? Okay, I'm so sorry. I think Silas having technical issues. Professor Washiri, can you please unmute? I was saying that based on listening to all the speakers, Professor, you can hear that Africa is having a common problem. But the thing is that some of the African countries, there's a lack of skill where you find that other people are plumbers, other people, people lack of skills. So some of these illegal foreigners, they are moving from some of the African country to our countries or to your country because of their starving. And I so believe, it's my point of view, I believe that somewhere, somehow, Africans need to be allowed to move from their country to the other country. There must be something to be done. That's my point of view. Now, very quickly, I want to go back to Professor. Professor, what is your summary based on this motion before we tackle the poverty? All right. I don't know if Professor Washiri can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. So I think my take on this, I'll say that the issue of immigrants, I will still stand that violence cannot be a solution at any given point. What we need, as you mentioned, an immigrant, I may be running from Kenya coming to South Africa because the situation in Kenya is also tough. I'm looking for a place where I may be able to get a better life. So we need to understand one another. And that is why, as other speakers have said, that Africa, we need to unite. The idea of the former Libyan president, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, that idea should be revived, that we unite as Africans to open our borders, to have that freedom, so that we can tackle these, our common problems, in a common way as Africans. But if we don't do that without uniting, we shall keep on fighting one another, and we will not be able to solve our problems of immigration. So I still say that we need to unite together as Africans and speak in one language and agree, come up with rules that will govern the policies that will govern all of us as Africans, in order to open the markets freely, to open our borders, so that we can get to move, so that we don't continue calling one another, this is an illegal immigrant, which brings about hatred. But we need to have policies which gives us that freedom of movement. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Washiri. Now we're moving into poverty. In 1990, it was reported that approximately around about 280 million Africans were within poverty. In 2012, it was reported that around about 330 million Africans are still in poverty. The number was increasing. Now, I want to call in Wachiri Mutati. Africa is rich. Africa is rich with minerals. Africa is rich with resources. I can tell you that the likes of Zimbabwe, South Africa, we have mines where they're mining platinum, where they're mining gold. Africa is rich in detail. Africa is rich with agriculture. Why are we still starving? Why are we still poor? But Africa is rich. Wachiri Mutatu?
Yeah, thank you, Ali. What I can say on matters of poverty, and I think we as Africans, and I like to begin from the point where we've left out from illegal immigration and just conjoin it with this topic of poverty. All matters in Africa boils down to what we are talking about: unity. Unity is what is bringing all these issues, because we've become so disunited that we have become even poor. The fact that we have all the resources in Africa so that we can enable ourselves not to be poor is what is wanting, or is what is, it boggles my mind, because I cannot understand. We have all these resources in Africa and yet we are still poor. But I also understand that we do not listen. As Africans, we do not listen. And I would like to tell you about Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I hope I've pronounced her name quite well. In 2013, in Addis Ababa, she writes an imaginary letter to Kwame Nkrumah, and she apologizes to Kwame because we did not listen to Kwame Nkrumah when he was talking about a united Africa. It said that we are sorry because we did not listen, and that is the problem of Africa. We do not listen. We have all the resources we should that will enable us not to be poor, yet we are still poor up to today. The fact that even technology is not even rampant in Africa makes me to worry, and yet I understand that the component that makes telephony in the world is sourced from Africa. That Africa is providing food for the rest of the world and yet itself is totally poor, is what I still don't understand. Also in 1997, on March 6th, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Mwalimu of Tanzania, when he was in the 40th anniversary of Ghana, he spoke and he said that we either unite or we perish. And in the same spirit of Dlamini Zuma, he said that we do not listen, and he also tried to apologize to Kwame Nkrumah. We do not listen to each other. The fact that we all have this information that we have in Africa, we have all this knowledge, we have all this wisdom, we have all these resources. We do not listen to each other. We want to keep fighting for all the issues. We want to keep on fighting each other, and yet we are still poor. We are being disturbed by issues that are not even supposed to be disturbing us in the first place. And yet we don't have food.
Wrap up your point, my speaker. Please wrap up your point.
Okay, thank you. Just to wrap it up, I'd like to remind you that we as Africans, we have already made ourselves to be known as the poor country, because we by ourselves, I want to keep on repeating that point because I think it's very pivotal. If we are able to listen to each other and listen to the solutions that we have given each other, because they have been there since time immemorial, our forefathers have been giving us solutions on how we can handle poverty. The scholars in Africa are giving us how we are going to solve these issues. The only issue is that we are not listening to each other. And I believe when we start listening to each other, we are going to solve all issues. When we unite, even poverty is not going to be an issue. Yeah, that is my view on poverty.
Thank you so much, Honorable Wachira Mutata. The number of people who are in poverty is increasing. Some are saying that we don't listen. Okay, very quickly, I want to move into Professor Wachiri. What is your take? Why Africa is rich but people are still starving, Professor? Why are we starving, Professor?
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I think Africa, as I have observed, indeed, it is true as you have said, we have resources and everything, even the resources that made some countries to be called superpowers at the moment came from Africa. But it happens that we are still, most people, we are still poor. The issue, as my colleague has mentioned, indeed it is true. We lack unity. And when we did from even the beginning, when
Professor,
Africa was under
Professor, before you go through, there's a POI.
I see that there's a POI.
Okay.
More Africa, what are you raising a POI on?
Honorable Ali, thank you very much with the professor there. I think the professor and Wachira, they spoke about poverty, but not forgetting the main cause of poverty in our Africa is that the educational system that is introduced to Africa is the system which will make us poorer until we meet our maker. That is the point that we don't have to forget. The only thing that is making us poorer in Africa is our educational system. It's not becoming the solution to the problem of poverty, but it's becoming the problem to the poverty.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, my speaker. Okay, Professor Wachiri, please go through, but please take this point into account. The speaker is saying that the educational system that most of the African countries are using, it's contributing a lot into poverty, whereby you are teaching children's accounting, life orientation, agriculture. At the end of the day, this person wants to be a plumber. The question is that why don't you teach them how to become plumbers from the childhood? I think that's what he's saying. Professor, please unmute.
Okay, maybe to start with that issue of education, it is actually very unfortunate that education in Africa only prepares people to live in the future. And you know, once you are told that your future will be bright, when you get to excel in this area, and somebody, you get a majority, may end up not being able to meet the target that they needed or that the education system has placed. So they end up losing hope that indeed now, I think I'm now already a failure. I cannot move on. I don't have the future. So that blocks the mind of people reasoning to create employment. You know, we have measured so much on education to be everything. We measure everything using education, and yet it is not the real scale to measure on how somebody can be successful in life. And that is something that has blocked our mind as Africans. So we end up knowing that, you know, if I failed in school, I cannot also make it in life. So I think we need to revisit also the kind of education, what we teach and how we tell people, how people look at education. But my point on the causes of poverty, one, why we have resources and we are poor, I'll say that when you look at the issue of population increase in Africa, this is something that Africans we have ignored for a long time. People are sharing children without even beyond their financial capability. You have 10 children, yet you don't have any job. You know, you are not economically stable. So you get that when you look in Africa, we have so many youth. There are so many. There is no job for them. They are unemployed. So people end up, we have so many people
Okay.
don't have they're not in school. So that is one issue that is actually causing this poverty to be so high. And another issue, as I wrap up, I say that the kind of leadership that we have in Africa, we have very, very greedy leaders who are very ignorant. They only think about themselves. The resources they use, they don't utilize to better the nation, but they only better themselves. So they end up leaving people, they don't consider their citizens. And that is why Africans, corruption is something that every nation is talking about, corruption, just because of the leaders who we are placed there to represent us, but they are representing us in eating what we should eat on our own. So I think those are the two things that I can mention there, which are the causes of poverty. I think I may leave others also to contribute. Thank you, Ali.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Washiri. I hear that some are saying that the education system that we're using in Africa is the main contributor. Some are saying it's because of the politicians or our leaders. Some are saying it's because of most of the Africans they are not able to control how they can make babies. Like they just make babies now and then. Someone said that is the main contributing thing. But very quickly, before I allow Frank to come in, I want to allow Silo to come in. Silo, can you please come in and let's hear what is your point of view, Silo?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please go through.
Yeah. I think here we just the point we are raising is that one raised by Wachira, and if we can see
Yes,
whatever we're gonna raise,
it's Professor Wachiri.
yeah. Let me use Honorable Professor Wachira, the first speaker about poverty. He spoke about Africans not listening, of which that's true. We guys don't listen because if you can check, I remember Prof. Pielo Lumumba once said that the problem with Africa is that those who have powers, they don't have ideas. Those with ideas, they don't have powers, of which is true. Now, the honorable here spoke. I forgot his name. He mentioned something about education system, and then the professor who was on making points now.
Education
He also
system
spoke
on education system. It was Africa. The one who spoke about leaders not listening. It was Wachiri Mutati.
Yes, both of them. They spoke about that, and then the previous speaker spoke about the politicians of South Africa, basically.
That's
So all of
Professor
that,
Wachiri.
yeah. And then if you can look at all of those points they are raising, they get to a point which were raised by the first speaker that Africans don't listen, because we do have all the ideas. We do have, like Honorable Mafrika said, the education system. He's having it that Africa can change only if they change their education system. But who's going to listen to him? The first speaker said it that we do not listen. But then who's going to listen to him? That's the problem with Africans. We only listen to those with power. But those with power, they are blindsided by the power they have. Then it converges to the corruption itself. Those people are only concerned with filling their stomachs rather than changing the country or the continent in particular. So the problem we have, I support the first speaker who said, Professor Wachira, when he said that Africans do not listen. That's the whole summary of these points they were making.
For point of correction, the one who said Africans are not listening, it's Wachiri Mutati. It's not Professor Wachiri, it's Wachiri Mutati. Please go through.
But then I said I thought you were the one who said he's professor. Okay, yes. When he's the one who spoke about Africans not listening, of which is true. I second that point. I support it fully. We do not listen. We only listen to people with power. But then those people come and lie to us. They promise us Christmas in June, and we believe them because they have power. But they never deliver anything. But then with us who have ideas, who's going to listen to you? When you have 10 rand in your bank account, who's going to listen to you? Yes, you do have ideas which can change the continent.
Honorable Speaker, you are running out of time. Please wrap up your point.
Okay. Yes, I think my point was clear in saying that it's true. Honorable Wachira Mutati said it all. And then again, on the problem of education system, it is true. Our education system is leading us into poverty because it is helping us to go on working for other people instead of working into inventing that which other people are able to invent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Solo. Very quickly, I want to bring in Honorable Frank. Frank, try to be brief. What is your take?
Okay, thank you, Ali. My take on this whole motion is that, like, we as Africans, yes, we are fighting amongst each other, but then in most cases we are cowards. Because if we were not cowards, we should take out those leaders, because all this nonsense that is happening, we know that as Africans, we don't own the economy. The economy is in the hands of the European guys. But then what do we do as that guy? I forget the name of that guy that mentioned that you must take it as an individual. Change comes with an individual. Yes, there is this guy in Soweto and Santalax. He's trying to bring change, but then again, we are attacking him, saying that he's focusing on black Africans from other countries and not the whites. So if you look at the state of that guy, he's being sponsored by who? By the white people. So there is a lot happening. It's a long journey, guys. We can try by all these means, but if we are not like aiming, you can be a sniper, but then if you don't have a target, then you're useless. You're not a sniper. You're useless.
All right. Frank, there are two BOIs which are coming from the ground.
Okay.
I'll allow them to put them through, but I want you to answer them at the same time. Because I'm aware that Kenya is 1 hour before us, so it's almost 9 that side. So I want us to wrap up very quickly. Now I'll start with Africa. Try to be brief. Africa, what are you raising a POI on?
Thank you again. The issue of the real issues here in Africa as a whole
Try
is
to be
that
brief, my leader.
we are not. The issue in Africa is that the leaders that we have, they don't trust each other. If Africa wants to be united, leaders of each and every country in Africa, they have to trust each other. Before we're thinking of uniting the whole country, the followers or people on the ground, leaders at the top must first unite. That is my point of view.
Okay, let's take your POI, Advocate Abram. What are you raising your POI on? Please try to be brief. Advocate.
Thank you very much, Ali. You know, Ali, I do not know if whether what Frank is he contradicting himself or what's happening here, because now he complains when you offer the solution, he also states which is gonna be crushed. So now, what is it to be done? What is he suggesting? Because now he's saying that the economy of South Africa is on the hands of the Europeans. Then we say attack the system of the Europeans. He says you're going to be dealt with immediately. Then now, question is that what is it to be done according to you? According to him, according to you, Frank, what is it to be done now? Because now we are saying that we need to unite Africa. That is the solution that we are bringing to you. We need to unite Africa. We have all the resources, the skills, as the Prof. Washili said. We have the resources, the skills. We only lack the leadership to bring hope and vision. The leadership that we have doesn't have the vision. They don't have the vision to take us where we need to be as African, like our forefathers of the former president, may his soul rest in peace, the former president of Libya, Muhammad Gaddafi, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. They have the vision.
You're running out of time.
Africa
You're running out of
united.
time, my speaker.
Okay, my point is that, Ali, to Frank, what do you suggest? What are you bringing to the table? Tell us.
Okay, Frank, you are given less than a minute to respond to both of them.
Okay, my suggestion to Malekane is that, yes, the economy is in the hands of the Europeans. Ne? It's fine, that one, I get it. But then, while we are still trying to figure it out, how are we going to fight the Europeans? Let everyone stay wherever they are in their countries. Because in South Africa, we have so much youth. They are not working. They are on drugs. The drugs which are brought in by the illegal immigrants. So I'm not contradicting myself saying, let them stay wherever they are. Let everyone stay at their homes, wherever they are in their countries. And let those leaders come together, or let the youth. The thing about the youth of South Africa is that we are cowards as well. We do not want to revolt. We are always revolting on social media, but we do not have time to take it on the streets to show the government that this is hurtful. We are tired of that. So My last conclusion is that as youth or as citizens of each and every countries, let's revolt on the streets and not on only in social media, because you see how the country is being embedded, is being corrupted. But you are doing what? You are always on Twitter, behind the keyboard. Yeah, what? The leaders, what? Dude, there is a lot that has happened in countries. What did we do? We did nothing. We only
All right.
spoke through social media.
Honorable Frank, please wrap up your point.
My point is that let's stop this thing of being cowards behind the keypad and then only having this say on social media. Unless if we take it to the street, there is nothing that is going to happen in the African countries. The immigrants, they will still continue on happening. Human trafficking is still going to happen in the African countries, mostly South Africa. These things, they happen.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Not a problem. Very quickly, before we go for the last round, I'm gonna allow Advocate Abram, in 30 seconds. What are you raising a POI on?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Frank, how does if everyone goes back to their countries, how is it going to help us in achieving to unite Africa? How is it going to assist us on that? Now, you are well aware, you have identified the system of the white monopoly capital, but you are scared to collapse it. You don't have the strategies on how to take it up. But what you do, the first thing that you do is go and attack the foreigners, our fellow black brothers. How is it going to assist us in moving forward, in growing South Africa, in uniting Africa as a whole? Because now what you have said, it has none progress in helping us to achieve on how to unite Africa. If everyone is going back to their countries, because these people are playing a major roles in the economy of South Africa. I won't lie on that one. Okay. But chasing them away, how is it going to?
Yeah, you are running out of time, Advocate. I can hear your main point. Your main point is that what are we going to benefit from chasing our brothers and sisters out of our countries? What are we going to benefit? All right, definitely. Frank, you are overridden to respond. I don't see Frank. I don't know what's happening with Frank here. He will just connect just now. Very quickly, I just want to take a short break. After the short break, we'll be wrapping up the motion. We're just going to take a quick break just now, a break which is less than 30 seconds. Then from there, we're good to go.
listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world, like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time to come and join the show tonight. Actually, what we have been digesting in the house tonight, we're looking at the resolutions to the African problem. I think the main issue here, which one of the speaker by Africa brought it on the table, was that the educational system that is being used in Africa is the one which is contributing towards poverty. We can bring a lot of point of views on the table, but at the end of the day, there's no way we cannot sleep in the podcast. Now, we have reached that time. Most of us, we don't like it. It's at the end of the podcast. But I'd like to start with Wachiri Mutati. How do you summarize the podcast? What is your conclusion looking on the two motions that we are able to digest and some of the points which were made by the likes of Mo Africa, the likes of Silo Hole, the likes of Professor Wachiri, the likes of Frank, and also what you have been articulating in the house? How do you summarize it in a minute?
Thank you, Ali. First of all, I'd like to remind you a speech delivered in 1906 by your very own Prixley Kaseme, and he was talking to the people, and when he was speaking, he talked about the regeneration of Africa, and he talked about an enslaved Africa, and he painted a picture of Africa being branded as the enslaved Africa. When I move forward again, I'd like to speak about the issues that we have talked about here. We have talked about illegal immigration. We have talked about poverty. But for me, I want to look at it differently from my colleagues here. I want to say very categorically that everything is in our mind. And in the words of Achille Mbembe, he said that the mind is the standard of the man. And it is true. We cannot say that everything is happening to Africa is European, or the Europeans brought it to us, or the white people. But it is true that our colonized narrative led us to where we are today. But it is also true that our ignorance is what is keeping us here. And therefore, the resolution that we might be giving, or the resolution that may be given in the future, needs to be very careful in what is the consciousness or the thinking of the African person. And we should also know that it is true we are weak. We are weak, and we have to begin from there, that we are weak. And we are politically weak, we are economically weak, we are socially disorganized, we are spiritually confused. So if we now begin from there, that we know where we are, so that we can be able to know the future that is ahead of us, or we can be able to understand where we are going. And we know that the past of Africa is where we see Africa before the coming of the white person. We see that history teaches us that Africa was developed and was a very good continent. So, and it came later to be disorganized by the European, and also the Africans. We are busy making it bad as the situation as it is now. So it is when we only change our thinking, we change the standard of the mind, which of the man, that which is the mind, is when we are going to change everything and anything about Africa. But perhaps allow me, if I can just mention some few things that we might do, because I did not have that chance to say it before. One, we can use something we call the community-centered approach. This approach is where we as Africans, we focus on the community. For example, let me tell you about Gachacha. In 1994, after the Rwandan genocide, there were lots of genocide cases. But what was done by the Rwandan government, they used their traditional court system or judicial system called Gachacha. And in 2012, more than 1.2 million cases had been solved. More than 12,000 community-based courts had solved 1.2 million cases in Rwanda. And you see, it worked for them. Another issue is that we are supposed to start looking at revolutionary leadership, as one of my colleagues has stated here. When we look and change the leadership, to have this revolutionary leadership that has the political power and does not condone or does not allow them to be done the way they want to be done by the European people, is when Africa is going to change. So I don't want to speak much today, but on that because of time. But I like to take to say this as the takeaway point for people here who are listening to us, that if we change our thinking, all thinking and all the solutions in Africa end in our mind. Let us start changing our mind. Let us change the way we think. And when we start thinking that we are Africans, we are not people to be told what to do. We are people who tell ourselves what to do, is when we are going to change ourselves. When we realize we are not slaves, but we are more than conquerors, is when we are going to change our minds, not only in poverty, or every issue that is concerning Africa will only be changed if Africans themselves change the way they are thinking. Yeah, thank you.
Wachiri Mutati Karibase Asante se. We are moving to Honorable Silda Hole. Karibase. Honorable Silda, can you please unmute? Silda, please unmute yourself. You are on mute. We are not able to hear you, Silda. Can you please unmute yourself? Honorable Silda, can you please unmute yourself? All right. I don't know what's happening with Silda. Maybe might be having some technical issues very quickly. I'm going to take Mo Africa before I bring back Professor Washiwi. Mo Africa, what is your conclusion, especially looking all the motions which have been digested by the speakers in the House? I believe the likes of Wachiri Mutati was able to appetize you while he was busy concluding his points. Mo Africa?
Thank you, Professor Ali and Mwachiri Mutati. I thank you guys for engaging on the issues that are affecting our continent. As Africans, we have to implement and make sure that Black consciousness is the dinner table of each and every political organization in every country. That is the way of life. Remember, Black consciousness is the attitude of our mind. Wachiri Mutati spoke about change starting with us and starting within our minds. Black consciousness is the attitude of our mind to think about us, the blackness, the Africanism, our pride. So we have to be sure and make sure that each and every political organization in each and every country is there to represent the Africans, is there to represent its people, is there to bring change to the people, not to bring change to individuals who are in that organization. As an African.
Yamo Africa? Okay.
Am I clear now?
Yes, sir. Please go through. We can hear you.
Yes, as I was saying that our people or our countries has to implement Black consciousness in each and every organization so that we can have a united Africa and we have one currency, one army, as Muammar Gaddafi stated, that we have to have one Africa, one army. But that is impossible because people are thinking with their stomachs, not with their brains. As Steve Biko once said, a man can walk with a wounded leg, but cannot walk with a wounded mind. Because our people are wounded psychologically. They are only thinking about enriching themselves. They are only thinking about enriching their families and their friends, but not thinking about transforming our African situations. That is why I spoke about the educational system that is implemented in Africa. It's not in favor of Africa, because if you go to China, they are doing mathematics in Chinese. How is it impossible for us to do mathematics in our African languages? So that is the issues that are also dragging us down. We are not going forward, we are dragging down. We are having a lot of minerals in Africa that can enrich Africa, make Africa the United States 3 times America. But because we are having the leaders who are not having the visions, as Mutati said, that the leaders are not visioned. They don't have the Africa love at heart. You must have that love of saying, these are my people, these are the people that I'm going to fight for, these are the people that I'm going to liberate. Revolution is the festival of masses. So when we speak about the revolution, we must include each and every individual, irregardless of how much you have, irregardless of where you belong. We can be poor, but as the speaker said, that if you are poor, people cannot listen to you. And that is the fact. Nowadays, people worship money than reality. If people start to see and understand that we need to be revolutionized, we need to be conscious enough to know that we are Africans. When we must stop associating black with evil and white with peace, because that is pure racism. We can't be racist on black, because it seems like we are the pawns in the game of chess where the Europeans are playing, and then they are playing blacks where they're going to fight each other. Our African brothers are our brothers. They have to travel, they have to go to each and every country that they wish they can go. Yes, but they have to do that legally. We don't need them to do it illegally. We welcome everyone in South Africa. You can come, all of them, from Kenya, from Cairo, from everywhere. Come to South Africa. You are welcome, but come with proper papers to say this person is coming to South Africa. Because we don't want to say Wachiri Mutati is in South Africa but illegally. No, if you are illegal, you are legally in South Africa with proper papers. I can even give you a room to sleep with me here. I don't have a problem. But if you are not here with proper papers, then we are going to have that conflict on the streets, where we have a xenophobic attacks, which is not promoted and which is not the symbol
Please
of
wrap up your
Africanism.
point, my speaker. Please wrap up your point.
Thank you. If we are attacking our African brothers, then we are attacking ourselves. It's a self-hate that is implemented in us. So, Mr. Ali, I thank you very much for this platform and other participants who came through, and also our viewers. We thank you very much for taking part in this initiative.
Yeah, Professor Wachiri, how do you conclude the show? Listening to all the speakers, the likes of Mo Africa, the likes of Wachiri Mutati, the likes of Mo Africa, the likes of Frank, the likes of Sillo. The points have been in the house. They have digested all the motions. Some of them, they even saying the education system being used is wrong. Some of them are saying that no Africa, no, there should not be anyone in Africa who move from country A to country B without any proper documents. Professor, what is your view?
Okay, thank you once again. I think the speakers have put it very clear and very well. And so for me, for my conclusion, I'll still echo what I said before, that in Africa, we have all it takes. We have all the resources that we need. What we only lack is the right mindset, that of being independent-mindedness. Because when I was looking at a country like China, you get that China, Britain has controlled Hong Kong up to 1997. And 1997, most of African states were independent. I've seen Portugal being in control of Macau, also a city in China up to 1999, and US being in hold of Taiwan as its protectorate. But you see that did not prevent China from being what it is today. So we need to understand one another as Africans. As one of us has said, that listening to one another. Indeed, we need to be united, because for us to listen to one another, we need that unity. Remember when W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, when they were fighting for the independence, for the rights of the blacks while they were in Europe, but they were fighting a common enemy, yet themselves they were not united. They also started fighting one another, losing their goal. So that is not the direction we should move. Also, us within Africa, we are facing common challenges, common problems, but we have failed to be united to fight those problems. So unity is very important. We need to come, sit together, talk as Africa, and handle these problems together, not fighting one another, not being disunited, not continuing with the education systems that they were introduced by the whites. That is what we're just following. No, let us understand what we need as Africans and go for it, not what was given to us, because it's not what was given to us which is right, but is that which we are the one who knows what is we need here in Africa. We are doing things which are not necessary here. So just as China assumed all the things that the colonies were done there, and they came out to think on their own, being independent minded, and that is what made them to be what they are today. So we need also to advocate for right-mindedness in Africa, to have the right mindset, to come up as Africa and look at our African level, not as Europeans, copying everything that they do and following up. It's not bad to learn from them, but there is difference between learning from somebody and copying what somebody is doing. So Africa, we are copying what the Europeans are doing instead of learning from them to help us come up with our own strategies to solve our problems. And so that is what we need as Africans, for us to move from this issue of poverty, corruption, the challenges that we are going through. Thank you, Mr. Ali.
I could say that Africa is rich. Africa is rich in detail. It is quite astonishing when we see most of our African brothers and African sisters still swimming within the pool of poverty. Looking at the countries such as Botswana, which they are rich in diamond, looking at the Democratic Republic of Congo, they are also rich in diamonds and copper. Looking at Tanzania, they are rich in gold. Namibia, they are rich with uranium. Mozambique, they are rich with aluminium. Ghana, they're also rich with aluminium. Nigeria, they're also rich with aluminium. Ghana, they're also rich with gold. South Africa, it's one of the country in Africa which is rich with a lot of minerals. Why are we rich? It's the problem because of our leaders. Are our leaders being captured? Our leaders not being given the right direction? Our leaders not listening to us? What is the problem with us of today? Because if you can have a look, Africa as a whole, a lot of the resources and the minerals which are coming from Africa are going to the Western, China, and all these places. But we as Africans are still bowing down to them. Why are we still starving today? What is the problem with our leaders? Why they don't trust us? Africa belongs to us. We are Africans. It belongs to all of us. Our leaders, they need to make sure that they involve the youth in this leadership. I so believe that Africa belongs to each and everyone. And I like some of the comments which are made by some of our speakers saying that the education system that is being used in Africa, it needs to be changed, whereby we need to invest much into skill, where people, they can go directly to start to be a doctor, go to be an electrician, go to be a doctor. You started from zero. You don't do a lot of things at the end. You go to varsity and college. That's when you start to think that you can be an electrician or going to be a doctor. I thank you guys so much for taking your time to come and join the show. The likes of Honorable Frank, the likes of Professor Wachiri, the likes of Mo Africa, the likes of Wachiri, and also all of them who managed to join the show. I take this time and thank you so much for joining the show. Please, next time when you invite you to come and join, please don't hesitate to come back. The likes of Wachiri and also Prof. Wachiri, Asante say, Karuba say.
Asante sana.
Say, thank you so much.
Asante sana Mr. Ali, na ukuwe na usiku mwema. Good night.
Karibu say.